Hey, it's Mike Hambright with FlipNerd.com. Welcome back for another exciting expert interview where I interview successful real estate investing experts and entrepreneurs in our industry to help you learn and grow. If you haven't checked out the all-new FlipNerd.com, we have the most powerful platform in existence for real estate investors, so go check it out, FlipNerd.com. Today I'm joined by Jerry Norton, a successful real estate investor, mentor, and coach. And Jerry went from digging holes at construction sites to doing hundreds of deals and achieving the financial freedom that we all seek. Jerry really teaches others how to become financially free and not doing it just for the money. It's to allow you to have control over your lifestyle. And if you're listening to this show, I know that lifestyle is important to you. That's why so many of us get into real estate investing, to achieve not just financial freedom, but the life that we have always wanted. And a lot of people do get into that, but they never get there. So today we're going to discuss lifestyle design with Jerry Norton. And we're going to talk about how you can get there. Before we get started, though, let's take a moment to recognize our featured sponsors. RealtyMogul.com is an online marketplace for real estate investing, connecting borrowers and capital from accredited and institutional investors. Get a rehab loan fast and close in as little as 10 days. Rates start as low as 9%. We'd also like to thank National Real Estate Insurance Group, the nation's leading provider of insurance to the residential real estate investor market. From individual properties to large-scale investors, National Real Estate Insurance Group is ready to serve you. Please note, the views and opinions expressed by the individuals in this program do not necessarily reflect those of FlipNerd.com or any of its partners, advertisers, or affiliates. Please consult professionals before making any investment or tax decisions, as real estate investing can be risky. Hey, Jerry, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Yeah, so glad you're here. It's funny, we were talking about before this, a lot of people get into real estate investing because they want that freedom. They want to leave the job or something that they hate doing or not working as hard as they have in the past, only to find themselves, in many instances, if they're unsuccessful, they never achieve those things. But some that achieve the financial success find themselves not having the lifestyle that they thought they would have when they got there.
Oh, for sure.
And so it's a topic that you just really, I don't think we can talk about enough, so I'm excited to talk about it with you today.
Yeah, well, I kind of fell in that boat myself. So I got started investing 10 years ago and quickly found that all I did was replace my job.
Yeah.
And I was busy. I was doing a lot of deals, but it pretty much controlled my life. I had to be at the jobs. I was doing rehabbing, and I typically had 12 to 15 projects going on at a time. So managing all these contractors, running from one place to the next, and it was like all I did.
Yeah, and there's something to be said for having control over when and how you work. But if you end up working 24 hours a day, and you're laying in bed at night and you hear a text come over and it makes you jump out of bed because something happened, and that's not the best way to live either, for sure. So
well, and what's crazy is when I first started, I started wholesaling, and I can't tell you, it was like it's like I don't know. It was so exciting. Every deal was so exciting. I remember just like I'd line up a deal. It'd be for $3,000 or $5,000 or $7,000, just a quick wholesale, and I'd be ecstatic that I did that deal.
Right.
And then as I progressed and started moving from wholesaling into rehabbing and getting more projects going, I found that the fun just kind of got sucked out of it. It wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
Like you said, I'd lay in bed at night going, "What am I doing?"
Yeah.
I got into this for freedom, and I'm not free.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, before we dive too far into this, why don't you tell us your background and how you got started and where you are today?
Okay, so I'm from the Detroit market. That's where I kind of grew up. That's home. I don't live there now. I live in Utah now. And I started in construction, like you said in the beginning. I actually was a laborer for an underground construction company digging holes. I actually heard about a real estate seminar from a friend. It was a 3-day event. I had to borrow money to go. I got so excited about wholesaling and just kind of dove in. At first I was working kind of before work on my wholesale business, after work. My goal was to make enough money to replace my current income for a year. So if I could earn enough money that I normally had earned in a year, I would quit and go full time. Well, that didn't take very long.
Yeah.
I wasn't making any money. And I jumped into wholesaling, and And I started with junkers like Detroit houses. You know, you hear about the $5,000 junkers. That was me. I was buying those and flipping them.
Yeah.
And
so what year was this, Jerry?
This was 2004, 2005.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the market was still chugging along.
It was flatlining in Michigan, and so it was starting to. So as I started getting going was when the market started going down. And what happened is right around 2006, 2007, market starts to correct and go down. Well, the Detroit market blew up as this cheap buyer's market worldwide.
Right.
So I'm running. So all
selling houses on eBay and stuff.
Oh yeah. So California money was coming into Detroit and buying, and foreigners. And so I started wholesaling these houses to all these local investors. And I had a problem. My problem was as soon as I'd flip them a house, they're trying to renovate it and get it rent. These are rental properties. They're trying to get it rent ready long distance, and it was just a disaster for them.
Right.
And I couldn't flip them another house until they got the one I just flipped them renovated and rented. So I kind of stepped into the role of, hey, why don't I renovate it for you? Why don't I help you with the rental process with one intent? I could flip them more houses. I did not want to become a renovator. It's just kind of happened by default. Well, that worked really well. And then, so then I transitioned into this turnkey model where I'd buy it, fix it, put a renter in it, and then sell it as a done product. And I was all in on these things for maybe $20,000-$25,000, and I'd sell them for $45,000-$50,000.
Okay.
So I started making really good money, and then my goal with real estate investing over the past 10 years is to never stay in a comfort zone, never stay where I'm at, always push to that next level. And for me, the next level was doing bigger deals. So I went from doing these turnkey rentals. I started doing rehabs in the retail markets, like around the first-time buyer, 100 to 150, 200,000, and I just steadily kept moving up the ladder. Now I do a lot of $400 to $1 million homes in the rehab, and then I also do new construction projects in the $750 million range.
Yeah.
And so my goal is eventually.
Some of that necessitated you moving out of the Detroit area then, right?
Yeah. Right. So there's some high-end markets. I'm from Oakland County, so you've got Bloomfield Hills and Birmingham. I mean, you've got $1 million home markets there.
Right.
In fact,
probably not of a lot of aggressive building though, right? Probably.
At the time there wasn't. Right now there is. Market's on fire there, like a lot of other places. So tons of building going on now. But I just kept looking for what's the next opportunity to grow as an investor. And I never consider myself, a rehabber or a wholesaler or anybody or anything. I consider myself an investor, which means I take advantage of what the best opportunities are in this market today.
Right.
And I think smart marketers, smart real estate investors, the ones that continually make money, continually adapt with the market.
Yeah, you have to. It's like, I know I'm sure we know a lot of the same people, but people that, 5 years ago would have said, I'm only a wholesaler, I wholesale everything. And now they're rehabbing everything. And not that that's always what happens, but I think, look, at the end of the day, I think a lot of the most successful people that I know in real estate ultimately real estate is a vehicle, but they're in the opportunity business.
That's
and
right.
you have to adjust. I mean, mortgage rules change, laws change, markets change, everything's changing all the time, and you've got to continue to reinvent yourself.
Sure. Especially with how you find deals, for example. I mean, I used to buy all my deals were REOs and short sales, Now I find my deals off market, not even on the MLS, because it's tougher on the MLS. So you've got to constantly have to adjust to what the opportunities are. And some people hate that, Mike. Some people are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to change. It worked yesterday. I don't want to have to try to do something new today. And you can quickly become obsolete as a real estate investor if you're not willing to adapt with the market changes.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So talk about somewhere along the line, you were working super hard and you started to realize that you don't want to, not that I'm sure you're not afraid of hard work. None of us, I'm not either, but you're like, is there an easier way to do this? Or how do I, why did I do this? And why am I doing this anyway?
Yeah. So what happened was I started to really focus on systems, and I started to say, you know what, my growth right now, I'm the bottleneck. Jerry's the bottleneck. And how do I stop from being the bottleneck? So it forced me to really focus on creating the right team, the right systems for finding, managing, and flipping deals. And my wife and I started to have this vision of traveling. And we have a big family. At the time, we had 6 kids. Now I've got 7. And we had this vision. My goal is 10. I haven't told my wife that.
I have a feeling she'll have something to say about that.
We just had a baby about 6 weeks ago, and
right when she was done,
I said, "Man, honey, you just got to do that one more time," which was bad timing. Don't ever say that right after she gave birth. And so it actually took about 2 years of really focused planning. And what we did, Mike, is we sold our house, sold my boat, sold our car, sold everything. All we had left was like a mini storage unit of stuff. Sold everything. We bought an RV. We custom built this RV. It's a 50-foot diesel. If you see this RV, it's awesome. We built bunk beds in the back of it. It's a toy hauler. I don't know if you know RVs. It's a toy hauler. We converted the back toy hauler into a bunk house for the kids. And we pulled our Suburban and we just hit the road. And for a year, we traveled the country. For a year in the RV, no home, just went wherever, no agenda. And what's awesome, Mike, is that year, 2013, my real estate business did better than any year previously.
Wow.
And I hardly worked. I still worked a little bit, but, a long week was like 20 hours a week. So I spent time with the family. We traveled, we played, we had fun. And what happened, though, is setting that deadline, selling all my stuff, and leaving. It forced me to create the systems, and I couldn't believe how much stuff I felt like I had to do that I didn't have to do.
Yeah.
And I had this philosophy. I learned this philosophy that if somebody else can do it 80% as good as I can do it, that's good enough. I don't have to do it. And it really allowed me to then step out of myself and grow. I actually did less deals, but they were higher margin deals. So I made more money doing less deals. And that was just a huge epiphany for me in my real estate business.
Yeah. Aside from setting up like systems and really kind of forcing you to say, how do I become more efficient? And not just saying it, but having to do it, because you basically just sold your home. So what are you going to do?
I'm gone. Got to do it. Yeah.
But I bet, talk about kind of the throwing yourself into where an RV is your home, where you're surrounded by your family. Not just surrounded, like they're in the vicinity, like they're on top of you basically. So, I mean, it forces you to, I think a lot of us waste time. Like I might be working, but it's like, let me go see what's going on Facebook, or, let me check my email again, even though I just checked it 2 minutes ago, and there's something new for me to do now. I mean, I'm guessing it forced you to say, my family is more dependent on me than ever, so therefore I have to be more efficient. I can't go check those things again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, first of all, it was liberating to get rid of all our stuff. It was just this amazing feeling of, stuff just consumes our life.
Yeah.
And we get so bogged down in acquiring it, maintaining it, taking care of it. And wow, just not having that stuff freed up so much space for things that are more important. And we grew close as a family. We did follow the warm weather states so that we weren't, stuck in the RV all in there. I think I would have killed somebody.
Yeah.
So we were outside a lot, because we were in warm weather states with the kids. But it was a very bonding time, and it was a time where I basically had to say, I'm going to let go of control of a lot of these things. I'm going to rely on these systems and teams and other people to do things that I thought I had to do, and equip them with the right tools to succeed. And things just took off. And, it was one of those things where I don't know if I could have done it, Mike, had I not just piled up in the RV and left.
Right.
As much as I would have wanted to. I think for me anyway, it took that to really change that mindset. Yeah.
And the fact that you had obviously a very supportive spouse to allow that to happen.
Okay. So yeah, thank you, she was amazing. So, she fit all of our food. She'd go shopping one day a week. She'd do laundry one day a week. The kids had, their clothes rolled up with rubber bands. They had enough clothes for like 1 week. She just was so efficient. We actually created all these videos that have thousands of views on YouTube of how she organized the RV that are really fun, because most people are just stunned to hear, what, you lived in an RV with 6 kids? Like, right. How is that possible?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's possible because of her. She's just super organized and efficient with everything.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about kind of your structure, your team structure before you did that and then after. So you said you had to become more reliable. You had to rely on other people more. But even before you left, were there people that were you in an office? Were you physically with people you're working with? And then how do you keep those people productive when you're not around?
Well, I used to have this belief system that I had to have all my own subcontractors. So I would not use a general contractor. And there's a lot of value in that, I believe, because you learn what the pricing is for every aspect: painting, plumbing, electrical, whatever, roofing, siding.
Right.
You really learn those numbers if you manage your own subs. And then what I thought or believed was that when it's time for me to look at a project and bid it, I can figure out the numbers because I know the numbers because I'm working directly with my subs. So first thing, though, that I did was I said, okay, there's no way I can do 40, 50 deals like I've been doing. So first thing I did is I said, okay, instead I'm going to do 10 deals. But I want to make more money. I never want to make less money, and that's never the goal.
Right.
I want to make more money doing less deals. So what I did is I realized, you know what, there's a segment of the market up here at the 400,000 to 600,000 that there's not a lot of competition because people don't have the capital to invest at that level, but there's still a strong demand for buyers. And this is nationwide, I believe this. They're conventional buyers, but it's less competitive. You know, buying a house for 70 grand, putting 30 into it and selling it for 150, everybody's doing that. It's competitive. Right. It's difficult to do those deals and try to make 20, 25, 30. So I started looking at deals and saying, how can I make 75 to 100,000 on a deal and do a quarter or a fifth of the deals?
Right.
So just that one change in my business model made a huge impact because I had less deals to manage.
Yeah. And did you kind of prove that out before you sold your house, or was that something you figured out?
I mean, I
was it just a theory at that point?
It was a little bit more of a theory, but I watched the market. So I'm a big believer in, you know, my real estate business is never gambling. I'm never guessing. I've got to have proven comps. I want to see sold comps. I really spend the time to analyze the market. Every time I go into a new market, because now I do deals nationwide, I have a realistic expectation that a new market is going to take time. I may not hit a home run on the first deal. I got to figure out the right team. To me, the right team is the right builder or the right contractor or the right real estate agent. You know, I do a lot of new construction, so an architect, designer, and I'll take as long as it takes to get that right team in place and pick a pocket, pick certain segments of the market that I really like, and then be patient to get the right deal.
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't that way. They just, you know, it's a volume thing, or, you know, they make the deal work because they want it so bad, they force it to work, and it's not a deal. So,
yeah, a lot of real estate investors are it's a feast or famine situation always.
Yeah. That's really the case. So, you know, I've transitioned. I think right now, personally, that there's more opportunity in new construction than in rehabbing. And so I'm a big believer in finding areas of the market that are hot for new construction. I think there's an undersupply of new housing. I think there's a strong demand in the higher price point of $750 to $1 million, where these buyers want a done turnkey home. A lot of my $1 million new construction homes, we fully stage them and we include the furniture, because we find that our buyers come in and they go, I love this house. I love everything about it. I want the whole thing. Yeah. So we're having to include the furniture and work that out. So now we just build it into our numbers a lot of times. And I mean, these are 4,500, 5,000 square foot homes. So they have to be staged or they just don't look right. It's big and empty.
Right. And if it's a move up house, you know, I know when my wife and I, we've only owned two homes personally. One was a townhome. It was like 1,800 square feet. And then we moved into a house that was, you know, almost 3 times that size. And we're like, what do we, we're going to grow into it. Right? What are you going to do with, how are you going to fill up all that space? It's like, it takes time. Well, it's kind of a burden actually.
And we do a lot of research on our design work on our homes. Most of my homes are very view driven. So we try to showcase views. We do a lot of budded glass, and we really try to get a modern layout. We try, you know, so we really, really make sure we understand our buyer at that price point.
Yeah.
But man, they come in there. A lot of them pay cash. It's the high income baby boomers. It's either a second home or a retirement home. So we do a lot of single level new construction to hit that baby boomer market. But it's hot. I mean, it's a phenomenal market, and we'll knock out 100, 150 grand on one of these new construction homes.
Wow.
That I couldn't find those deals with rehabs.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. So talk a little bit about why, maybe you can give some advice to people that, you know, are getting into this for the lifestyle reason. But I think a lot of people that get into this they're either way too aggressive and they do one deal and they wanted it so bad that they lose money and they're out of the business, or they're so conservative that it takes them forever to do a deal, but they finally do one, and then they do everything themselves, and they start to get in their head of, I want to stay lean and mean. Like, the way for me to make this my own thing is to just do all the work so I can save cost without considering their opportunity cost, right?
Right.
Without considering the lifestyle, which is probably why they are doing it in the first place. But talk about how to bridge that gap, because a lot of people face that. Yeah.
So the biggest mistake I see people make is they don't make enough offers. And so I'm a big believer in, don't do a deal unless you've got really good margins. It's got to be a home run deal. It's got to be profitable. And don't go skinny on your margins. And the way you do that is you just make more offers. And people are afraid of that. You know, it baffles my mind how a lot of people, they're willing to get in there and swing the hammer and physically do work to make this deal work because they can't hire contractors because their margins are too tight. But they're not willing to go out in there and just make more offers to begin with and then be able to hire all that out, so you're not doing it.
Right.
You know, so that's the first thing. And you know, the other thing I want to say, Mike, is I really believe that as you do deals, it's always hard at first, right? Because you've got to start making money. But what happens is as you start to make money, that money should be buying your freedom. You should be buying time. You should be buying, you know, the relationships. I really believe in four things. Money, doing deals and making money in real estate or any business should give you time to do the things you want to do. It's a freedom of money to free up that time. It's relationships to be around the people you want to be around. And it's to have purpose, to do something of purpose in your life so that you have that, there's meaning in what you're doing.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of people lose sight of that. And they just, instead what they do is as they make money, they hire on, they get bigger staff. They, you know, it's not freeing up. It's not giving them freedom. It's just bigger isn't necessarily better is my.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it comes back to the feast or famine situation. So many real estate investors, I mean, you could even live a pretty nice life if you're doing depending on where you're at, obviously, but, you know, a house or two a month. But, you know, even just saying a house or two a month, if you do one instead of two, your business is cut in half. You know, it's not like you're selling tacos where sales are up or down 3 to 5%. It's like wild swings in this business. And I think everybody always is focused on feasting because they're worried about the famine.
So then they make poor decisions.
Yeah.
That's what happens. You really make poor decisions. So, you know, one of the things I always tell people is, you know, change your mindset. Get out of the low-income housing where margins are tight and raise more capital. Learn how to raise capital to do bigger deals. And the 400 to 600 price range, I feel like, is a great market. If you know, they're bigger rehabs, obviously, because now you're doing bigger projects. But I'll tell you, I love buying a house for 200, putting 200 into it. I'm into it for 400 and selling it for 650 and making 75, 100 grand after carrying costs and closing costs and realtor fees and everything.
Yeah.
And those are great deals. And I feel like there's better opportunities for those deals than there is in the $100,000 price range.
Yeah, certainly not nearly as much competition, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the auctions and you look at these different places where you can find deals in those markets, it's less competitive. It really is.
Right.
Just people aren't thinking that they can go to that point.
Yep.
They don't think that way. A lot of investors.
Can you maybe take a few minutes and talk about where some of the, maybe at least for you and where you think for other people, where some of the kind of low-hanging fruit is to start to outsource stuff and take yourself out of the mix?
Okay, so in my business, and this might just be the way I like to do things, but to me, having a really good real estate agent, and so when I talk about a real estate agent, I'm looking for like top 1% in that market because they have so much knowledge, they have so much information, and they will tell you so many things that you just don't know on your own.
Right.
You know, like we're looking at this really big deal. It's a house for $750,000. Tear the lot down. This would be to spend $1 million building a home. You're all in at $2 million, selling for $3 million.
Wow.
And and all of my research said this is it. This is in the right area. And the agent said, Jerry, it's not. It's on the wrong side of the street. I'm telling you, it's not the right area. And that's what a good agent will do. And I looked at it closer. I went out there with her, and it's like, yeah, you're right. I would not have seen that. And so they are so knowledgeable about what buyers want, the right one. They will do so much for you. My real estate agents, they help in the planning process, in the staging process, helping find deals. Because what I tell them is I say, look, you help me find the right deal. I'm going to use you on the back end for the listing. And I won't even pay a full 3%. Sometimes I'll work out deals where it's 1%. But they're looking at a long-term relationship. They're looking at working with me on the buy side, working with me on the sale side. But I want the very best in the market to work with. Yeah. And if you help them see the vision of what you're doing, they will work with you because they're looking at you as not a one-time and out, I can't sell you another house for 7 years when you decide to move like a homeowner.
Right, absolutely.
They're looking at you as an investor where you're repeat business.
Right.
And so I just can't say enough about really finding and working with a top-notch real estate agent. And like I said, I get them to help me with so many things. Design, what should we do, what shouldn't we do, and how should we stage this? What kind of buyer is our ideal buyer for this type of property? Am I in the right market? What is the right opportunity? And a top agent like that, they won't just sell you a house for a commission. That's a worry I sometimes have is they're going to steer me the wrong way just for a commission.
Right.
They don't. If you've got the right agent, they are looking out for you and they won't do that.
Yeah, that's great. How about stuff like some of the busy work that a lot of us face in the business, which is, obviously taking calls, looking at deals. Yeah. Because you usually have to look at quite a few deals to get that one, negotiating, all those things. Talk about,
Okay. Yeah. So the way I run my business now is I've got a nationwide subscribers list, and I actually have some finder programs. So what's great right now is I actually don't even spend much time finding deals anymore. It used to be a full-time thing, always finding deals. Fortunately, what I've done is I've become a marketer in my real estate business, and I really believe real estate investors should be marketers, and the better marketers they are, the more successful they'll be.
Yep.
So what I mean by that is if you can create bird dogs in your markets and you can have people that know who you are, what kind of deals you're looking for, and you pay them well to find you deals, then your life just becomes so much easier. And so I actually have on a daily basis, deals coming at me left and right that I can just pick and choose the very best deals to work with. But that took some effort. That took a lot of time. A first-time investor right now listening to this might say, well, how the heck would I be able to do that? And there are ways to do it. I know you've got some tools and things, but you want to have as many feelers out there finding and bringing you leads. You need to be I call it a lead magnet. You need to just, the better you can get at getting leads coming to you, the more deals you'll have to do.
Yeah, I think a lot of, I've had somebody on the show recently and we talked about marketing and lead generation, but a lot of people don't really realize that if you don't have leads, you don't have a business. I mean, that is the blood of this business, the lifeblood of this business.
Yeah, and the more competitive it is, the more you need to do marketing, right? Yeah. I see a lot of people, they're like, oh, it's tough, I'm cutting back. It's like, this isn't the time to cut back, it's the time to add more, do more marketing than you've ever done.
Absolutely. So do you think, in terms of from a lifestyle standpoint, I've heard some people say before, we'll see if you agree with this or you think it's somewhere else. If you're looking to start outsourcing and taking stuff that's off of your plate and truly trying to run a business instead of actually being the doer, do you start with, the stuff that you like the least, like the stuff that you personally don't like to do? But sometimes some of that stuff is let's just say something like, obviously bookkeeping is important. Yeah. I would never, literally, I would just shut my business down if I had to do the bookkeeping. It wouldn't happen. Yeah. But is that kind of where you start? If you look at a list of everything you've got to do and you say, I need to move it from this column over to this column into the I'm not going to do it anymore column. Yeah. Where do people start?
So here's how I approach that. So I was business partners with Peter Conti. A lot of people know him, wrote a lot of books. We were partners for several years before he retired. And he helped me gain a mindset that really just stuck with me. He basically said, if I were to look at the tasks I do every day, and if I were to say, I'm worth $1,000 an hour, what I do, right? That's how high level I am. I'm worth $1,000 an hour. Is what I'm doing right now worth $1,000 an hour? And that helped me just answer this question of, should I be licking envelopes? Should I be doing all these lower level things? Is there somebody I can get to do this for $10 an hour? And what do I need to do in my business so that I can focus on these higher level things which in my mind, when it comes to flipping houses and real estate, it's finding and analyzing deals. It's staying up here at high level. It's not swinging hammers. It's not doing bookkeeping. It's not licking envelopes. It's none of those things. It's the higher level things. And so, for example, a lot of people think, oh, well, I just can't afford all these things. I got to do it myself. And you really can do so much today with software, with some of these tools that are available. I know you've got there's some really good tools out there that can do things for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've got $4 virtual assistants that do things for me. There's so many ways to inexpensively get things done. Even on my deals right now, deals come in, they all come into a portal where people upload them into a system where it's all right there. I pay a guy $25 to go through that deal, spend an hour making sure it meets my basic qualifications before I look at it. $25. To me, it is so worth my time for me not to have to do that lower level task of making sure it meets, my 10 things before I look at it.
Absolutely.
So then what happens is I end up looking at the deals that pass that first level. And so I'm spending now my time doing something very high level, which is really looking at a deal to determine if it's a deal worth going forward on.
Right.
So some of those things, I think, really what it is, I think, Mike, is it's a mindset. You have to start thinking and looking at your business with, how can I start to outsource these lower level things? I agree with the concept of outsource the things you don't like to do. I do that. There's things I hate doing and I don't want to do them. It doesn't align with lifestyle, for one. If I don't like doing it, I'm not going to have a good lifestyle.
Right.
And then doing the things I really like. For me, fortunately, I love marketing. I could do marketing. I just am fascinated by it. I love doing it. And so I consider myself more of a marketer than a real estate investor.
Okay.
Some people hate doing that and they struggle in their business. So if you struggle with marketing, you need to find somebody who's killer at it on your team, or learn how to love it. Because, like you said, it's hard to grow a real estate business if you don't do marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're never gonna, unless you get to the point to where you enjoy doing the things you're doing, and you get rid of as much of the stuff that you don't like doing as possible. Then, from a lifestyle design standpoint, you're never gonna enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah,
you're gonna get burned out. You're gonna retire early or quit, or it takes your eye off the ball if nothing else.
Yeah. Well, and real estate is like you said earlier, it's kind of an up and down business, and people have to be able to stomach the downturns and the deals that don't work. And I mean, I'm like you, Mike. I've done hundreds of deals, and I still screw up. I still have deals. Fortunately, it's not that often that don't make money. And I see so many people that are just scared to death of that, or they have a bad deal and they leave real estate and say it doesn't work.
Right.
And I've always just jumped back on that horse, gone out and done another deal and a better deal. And I kind of look at my real estate business. On December 31st, if I look back at all my deals and I came out on top and made a bunch of money, then I won. I won the game that year.
even if you had a couple losses.
Even if I had a couple bad deals, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Nobody's going to remember those other than you.
Yeah. And unfortunately, in this business, with what you do and what I do as a mentor and trainer, it's not talked about a lot. Like, people don't talk about, oh, you're going to lose money on some of your deals. When you say that, people are like, what? That's not what I want to hear. But the reality is, it's part of the business. You're not going to always get it right. As long as you're learning from your mistakes, you're trying again, and you're constantly trying to grow and learn, you'll keep doing better, but you're going to have deals that don't always work out.
That's just the reality of it. I mean, what business or what professional athlete never loses, Yeah. I mean, doesn't happen. Doesn't happen.
It's just part of the game.
Yeah. Well, Jerry, thanks so much for being with us today. Tell us, if folks want to learn more about you and all the stuff you've got going on, where do they go?
Yeah, so if you go to flippingmastery.com, that's a really fun site. We've got, every week we add new videos, we add new training articles. We've got a lot of free stuff on there. Great content. I really believe in giving a lot of value. So I think people really enjoy it. I'm very interactive on there. So if you leave a comment on one of the videos or one of the articles or whatever, I try to answer those and really try to help out. There's some links on there for my free book and other things. So That's a great place to go, flippingmastery.com.
Awesome. Yeah, I think for those of you that are listening, I think if you're at a point where you're trying to get started, or you have started, but you're not, maybe you're making money, but you're not having the lifestyle you want, hopefully there's some tools here to learn that it's not easy, but a big part of getting that point it sounds like, Jerry, from your experience, is just planning. It's just kind of knowing what you want to happen and making sure that failure is not an option and just kind of jumping in.
Yeah. On the site, I talk a lot about some of the stuff that nobody else wants to talk about. So I try to be very real. I try to show the other side of real estate investing. And, but I also try to be very encouraging and say, here's the things that could go wrong, that will go wrong, but here's some things you can do to offset that or learn from it, or, and I'm just such a huge believer in education. I constantly try to learn every single day, and people that are that way, I think, grow and develop very quickly in this business.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we'll add a link for your site down below the video here. But Jerry, thanks again for being with us today. Thanks for sharing your story. And any other plans coming up for a cross-country trip now that you want to wait till you have a couple more kids? Or?
Yeah. Well, it's it's been tough. My kids just love the RV so much. So we bought a house here in Utah, and the RV's in the driveway. We try to take it out as much as we can. Usually we'll go for the whole summer, so we'll still go for a month or so during the summer and just hit the road.
That's awesome.
So I just want to tell everybody, real estate, it's not about the money. I talk about the money a lot, and I know you do too, but it's really not about the money. For me, it's about having the freedom to have, be, do, and give. Those are the four things for me. Have the things I want, be able to be the kind of person I want, do the things I want, and then give in a big way, give back in a big way. And real estate to me is a vehicle to do that. So a lot of people think that I live and breathe real estate. That's all I do. And it's not true. It's not. I actually have a lot of other things that are way more important to me than real estate and business. So for me, what that means is it means real estate needs to be a vehicle to support the lifestyle I want to have. Because for me, it's not just about doing deals and making money. It's about relationships and all of the other things that I'm interested in my family and my spiritual journey and all of that really matter in life. So,
Yep. Awesome, Jerry. Thanks again for being with us today.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
Stay in touch, my friend.
All right. We will.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Are you a member of FlipNerd.com, the most robust real estate investing platform in existence, where you can find off-market wholesale deals and great vendors literally in your market? You can get access to advice from experts and learn about local clubs and events right in your backyard. If not, please visit FlipNerd.com and register for a free account. You can register in less than a minute. It's pretty much the coolest site that's ever existed in the real estate investing industry, so get on over to FlipNerd.com.